Today's lesson is on SOL 6.20, which is our inequalities. And if you remember, an inequality is a number that's not equal. It can be greater than, less than, greater than, or equal to, less than, or equal to, all these ones listed right here. So what I want to look at is more than. If something is more than, that's the same as greater than. So we're going to put our greater than symbol. We know what equal to means, and we know what less than. So we have our greater than, or more than, equal to, less than. We have greater than or equal to. If you remember, we still use our greater than symbol. We just put that little half equal sign underneath it. Less than or equal to. And I know we didn't talk about this much, but this no more than also means less than or equal to. But you can kind of put a star. That is not something you will probably see in 6th grade. That's more of a 7th grade skill. But it doesn't hurt us to know that that also means less than or equal to. So, we not only had to recognize these and how to read them, we also said the 6th grade skill was knowing how to graph an inequality. So when we graph an inequality, remember that an open circle means that the number is not included. So the number is not included. So an open circle, that means you're putting an open dot, means that the number is not included. So we're going to use the symbols greater than or less than to represent these two, to represent an open circle. Whereas a closed circle or a filled-in circle means the number is included. I'll abbreviate here. And we know the number is included because we have that greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. So it has that equal to part. So basically, open circles are when you have greater than, less than. I'm going to highlight just that part. The open circle is when you have just your greater than or less than. And a closed circle is when you have the equal to, greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to. So it includes that equal to part. So the number is. So we have to know when to graph each of these. Now, let's go ahead and make an example right here. So if I told us that we had x is greater than 9, obviously we would need to have a number line. They'll normally give us one. For this one, we're just going to make our own little short number line. I'm just going to literally make it 8, 9, 10. So let's think. It says x is greater than 9. Is this going to be an open or a closed circle? When we look, since it's just a plain greater than, that is an open circle. So we put an open circle at the 9. And we need to draw an arrow that makes this statement true. So what kind of numbers, what could x be that is greater than 9? And numbers greater than 9 would be stuff like 10, 11, 12, 13, and so on. And if you think, all of those numbers are to the right of 9. So I'm going to draw an arrow pointing to the right. Another way to help us remember this, we said if the variable or the letter is first, we can just turn our inequality symbol into an arrow. And whichever way that arrow points is the way it'll point on the graph. If your number had been first, it would point the opposite direction. So let's look at 9, 10, and 11. They're kind of working backwards. Numbers 9, 10, and 11, they ask us to actually write the inequality. Not to graph it, but to write it. So you can choose any variable. I'm going to start with an x. And I like to do my variable first. You do not have to. It can go either way. Some people like to put the number. They look at the number, and then they put the x. But the two things we should have are our variable and our number. Now, I do it first. So I say x is something than 1. And I look over here. Is x greater than or less than 1? Well, the arrow is pointing to numbers that are all smaller than 1. So to me, that says it should be the x, that unknown number, is less than 1. And I look back. It was an open circle, which means I do not need to put that equal sign under it. Now, if you like to do your number first, think about what this says. You're saying that 1 is bigger than all these numbers. So 1 is greater than x. Both of these mean the same thing. Both of these mean the same thing over here on the graph. So x, if I was checking myself, I would say x, the variables first. My arrow points the same way as the symbol. Very good. Numbers first. My arrow would point the opposite way. So just kind of a way to check yourself. So number 2, or sorry, it's not number 2, number 10. It said the inequality, we have our number -3. I kind of see it's a closed circle. My mind's thinking I'm going to have an equal sign. But I'm going to start with my letter first, my variable. I use an x. You can use anything. And I see it's over top of -3, so I'm going to go ahead and put that number. Now let's think. -3 is it greater than or less than all of the x's? All the numbers it's pointing to? X, or the numbers, are going to be greater than -3. Or if you did it the other way, you would say -3 is less than x. Ooh, but make sure we put that equal sign because it's a closed-in dot. If you would be so kind as to do number 11, so you'll need to write your own inequality independently. And then if you'll try number 12, it says, when writing an inequality, order does matter. Examine the following inequalities. Circle the ones that mean the same thing. If you need to use a number line to graph it, you're more than welcome to. But I would like you to do number 11 and 12 independently, and then have that checked by your teacher before going on to the back.